got me twisted, thinking about the way that things used to be. When it was you with me, girl, I was so free. See, you had my heart from the start like Cupid. I was just downright foolish.
Get ready, get ready, get ready. It's Let's Talk Business with Cheryl J. Cusseau. Today is Friday, and you're saying, oh, it's not Wednesday. That's because it's National Black Business Month. And all month long, DJ CEO and I, In Touch News Radio, and all of the guests that we have invited to come and share with us on the show, we've been shouting out Black businesses in our community, organizations, and churches. And so today is Friday, the 23rd, and we look forward towards the end of the show to shout out nonprofits. So you know the show, the who, the what, the when, the where, the why. Individuals are in business or have started their business and they're doing their thing. And so that's what it's all about today. Nonprofits who are doing their thing. DJ CEO, you're into that world of nonprofits. Y'all, he's clean today. You really should see him. I wish you could see the shoes,
well,
but I'll let you at least.
Yes,
he's sharp. Thank you, Tammy. You hooked him up.
Oh, come on now.
But Tammy would say you did it.
I did. I did. You know, I was dressing pretty sharply before I met Tammy.
Oh, Tammy, listen. He sound like my husband. He sound like my husband.
It's all good.
It is all good. So nonprofits, the heartbeat of businesses and organizations in our communities that find a need, recognize a need, and then listen, y'all, they go out there and they hustle in order to find the necessary funding to meet needs in our community. So I'm not going to delay this any longer. I want you to meet our beautiful guests. I panned around to our Facebook family and to those of you who are already chiming in. Oh, look, we've got somebody from out of state. Thank you so much. We're here. Remember, it is a call-in show. The number is 813-444-9588. And we look forward to taking a call or two so that we can address our guests. So I'm going to pan my device around so that you all can see her as she's talking. Welcome to In Touch News Radio.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Come on, Lo, we're just going to talk like this. Well, you are more than welcome. And just as you heard the applause, I am so super excited. I happen to know you. You're a very, very good friend of mine, sure. But you're here today to talk about the impact that you're making on our community and really beyond our community, to be truthful about what you do. And so for those of you that may not know who our guest is, I'll start the introduction off, but only she can tell you about her passion for doing what it is that you're doing today and what you bring to this Tampa Bay community. And if you probably went to grade school with her, you may know the name Astralita Lowe Berry, affectionately called Lowe.
Yes.
That's just L-O.
Preferably low.
Preferably low. Love it, love it, love it. So Lowe Berry is the president and CEO of, and I'll spell it for you, Reach Up. It's an acronym, REACHUP. Inc. So, Lo, what and how did the whole concept of Reach Up come about?
Well, Cheryl, I like to always remind people that Reach Up is definitely a vision realized.
Vision realized.
It is. And quite frankly, it is what I was destined to do. And okay. I can remember all the way back probably to kindergarten, but most definitely the first grade, wherein I always had this need to reach out to people who was less fortunate than me and my circumstances. And in particular, I was always compelled to be seeking out people whom I felt, even at a young age, was struggling or was having a problem with health and being out of school because they were sick. At the time, I didn't understand sickle cell, but we had a few students in my first grade class who was out frequently with sickle cell anemia, and I would always volunteer to take them their work so that they could make up their studies. And also people who seem to be really angry and upset all the time in class, and so always beelined for those folks. So it started very early, the call of my life to really address optimal health for everybody.
Optimum health for everyone. Now that's unusual to have that passion starting so young in life. I'm sitting here going kindergarten, first grade. DJ CEO, what were you thinking about in first grade?
You know, trying to pull some rubber bands off some girl's hair, or pulling a ponytail or something like that, for sure. Not optimal
just
health.
Mischievous. That's a good point. Not optimal. Now they were probably being stressed out as a result of what it was that you were doing.
True.
But I think to hear you say that, and when people begin to hear more about your platform and why you created this organization, they'll understand it was in your DNA all along.
Absolutely. I think that's a good way to put it. When something is in your DA and it's the call on your life, things fall into place. And I don't even begin to have this conversation and talk about what I've done, but it is definitely a team effort. And so placed in my life very much in the very beginning was two young ladies. One is Dr. Deborah Austin. One is
Shout out to Dr. Austin.
One is Vanessa Miskit. And we all sort of had a similar call around the health piece. And had it not been for co-founders such as them, and as you know, I have an awesome staff.
Yes, you do.
Best management team this side of heaven. We just wouldn't be able to get to this point to be able to make this type of impact. And we'll talk some about the outcomes of our work and our effort and what we really do believe is a call on our life.
All right. So you all heard it. That's 3 calls. And so you've taken us from kindergarten to first grade, where you were just so passionate about reaching out to others. And I'm sitting here thinking to myself, first grade, would I have even known others were more privileged than I was? I don't even think my mindset was there. So you were already special right out of the gate. But that being said, take us from kindergarten, because are you a Floridian?
I am. I'm a Tampa native.
I know this, but this show is global.
Okay.
And so it's literally all over the world. We've had people call us from different countries and from different states. And so they'll be able to hear about not only who you are, but what it is that you're doing. And look at the people who are already chiming in to see you on Facebook. So thank you to those of you. Make sure you all can see her. But that being said, you're from here. So what schools did you attend while you were here?
Well,
while you were being raised?
I went to kindergarten at College Hill.
Woohoo!
And my elementary was at College Hill Elementary. I went to Potter one year, and I went to Williams Elementary when it was just 6th grade.
Oh, that's all in East Tampa, right?
Yes,
okay.
yes.
Shout out to East Tampa.
I'm an East Tampa.
Woohoo!
East Tampa child.
Woohoo! That makes 2 of us.
And
he's a transplant.
And so in junior high, I went to Young Junior High in 7th and 8th. And then 9th, that's when we were bused. So I got bused to Slide Junior High in the 9th grade. And then I was at King High School. Go Lions.
Right. Go Lions.
10th through the 12th. And so, I was actually born in Ybor City. And I was born at home by a midwife.
Oh, now you're going to have to explain the name.
Yes. And so that's how I got the name Estrelita.
Estrelita.
It's because the midwife was Cuban and she delivered me. And so she called me Little Star. And would go from there. And she did. She claimed my destiny with my name. And that's how I got the name Little Star. but everybody calls me Lo.
Lo, that's new to me, Little Star. I love that. So now I can really see how this calling on your life was evident in your mom's womb. So, Little Star, excuse me. So we take you from high school, and then where?
So after high school and after college in Evansville, Indiana, where I was doing mental health from day one out of school, then I came to Tampa and I began working in the mental health arena at Northside Mental Health. My focus at the time was tertiary care.
Yes.
So I was totally focused in on families, in particular children, who suffered from emotionally, mental, physical, and sexual abuse. That was my focus. And so for 17 years, I really worked in that arena and sort of woke up one day and said, you know what? I need to be on the other end, the preventive spectrum, because I'm actually getting to see these children way too late. And it started from that point when I woke up that one day with that dream. And I really attribute a really close friend of mine, Samantha Paris.
Shout out to Samantha. We know them.
Who is a licensed clinical social worker and who worked for me for a few years at Northside. But she really encouraged me to apply for this job at USF. At the time was Federal Healthy Start. And so she knew my vision. I had shared my vision with her, and she encouraged me to apply as this director of Federal Healthy Start at the College of Public Health. And I remember that day, it was pouring down raining, and I was trying to make excuses, and it was like, it's raining. And I was like, okay, Sam, when is it due? She's like, today at 5. I was like, are you kidding? And so she said, don't worry about that, Lo. You get it, Vita together, everything together, and I would take it over there. I was like,
wow.
But who's gonna do the parking and so forth? And she said, don't worry about it. I got it. And so, needless to say, that job had been open for a year, and they had done a national search. And here I was in the backyard, as we sort of say. And so I interviewed for the job, and I got the job.
The rest is history.
And the rest is history. So we were there in 1998, and then in 2006, we made an intentional decision to vie for and to seek a not-for-profit.
Yes.
Myself and my two partners that I mentioned earlier. And so we did formulate and get our not-for-profit in 2006. And then we were really fortunate in 2009 to transition from the University of South Florida, where we had been for several years. I always give a shout out to Dean Donna Peterson, because she was instrumental in our transition. And when I tell you it was smooth. It was smooth without any hiccups. And I know that has to do also with being blessed. But on top of that, she really helped us to make that transition from university to not-for-profit. And so when we started at USF, we had one program, the Federal Healthy Start. And when we left, she could have, or others, competed. And she pretty much said they're going to vie for this application by themselves. And at the time, that was an $8 million grant. And so that's what we did. And we got the award as Reach Up Inc. And that's how we started out with that one big Federal Healthy Start contract. So they were the fiscal agent, and then we became the fiscal agent when that happened, and our research arm, though, remained there. And so, of course, we continue to have strong ties there, and our evaluation still is housed there. And now, under the leadership still, but most in the leadership of our local epidemiologist, Dr. Renee Wilson.
Okay,
shout
out to Dr.
Awesome.
Wilson.
Yeah.
as I'm listening to you, we were also fortunate on Wednesday. We had as our guest Michelle Maynard. And you know Michelle, she's a senior VP of community development at Wells Fargo Bank. And then she had one of her team members here. We gave him a new name, DD5, but David Davis. And what Michelle said, because we've been talking to small business owners, those who are aspiring to be small business owners, you have that entrepreneurial itch and you want to go out and hang your shingle. One of the things they said was, first, get your house in order.
Absolutely.
And when your house is in order, you can come and you can talk to us. And then there are things that we can do to help you grow your business. But she also said, and in her role is what Wells Fargo wants to do in helping and supporting nonprofits who are impactful and making a difference in the community, because they see the need of what these nonprofits are doing. And that's why we wanted to talk about nonprofits today. And there are quite a few of them here in this area. And so when you talked about the fact that you guys were, and when I go back to 2009, Lo, I'm thinking about, that wasn't even the year that a normal person would say, I'm going to start a new business. I mean, as an economy, as the world, if you go back and look at 2008, 9, 10, the average person would have said, this is not a good time.
Yes,
absolutely. To start a new business, certainly start a nonprofit. But I think it goes back to Little Star, the calling that was on your life, that the three of you were still able to pull together again and make this happen. So 2006, critical year, 2009. But reach up, you were always reaching out to help others. But tell our radio listening audience what that acronym stands for.
Okay. Reach Up stands for Racial Ethnic Approaches to Community Health in Underserved Populations. So when we first got started with the Federal Healthy Start, the focus was to put the great majority of our energies into reducing infant mortality and infant mortality disparity in East Tampa. So that Federal Healthy Start funding was about reducing those rates of the infant mortality. At that particular time, Cheryl, our Black babies in East Tampa was dying at a rate 4.4 times that of our white babies here in Hillsborough County. And so our charge was to figure out, one, why is that occurring? And then once we felt we knew some of the reasons why that was occurring, then create interventions and strategies with the community at large and the participants themselves to change that trajectory. And so that is where we have not succeeded to the point where we want to, of course, but certainly there's been some strides and gains because we have improved the racial infant mortality rate in the East Tampa area.
Oh, congratulations!
To 2 times greater. So
okay,
we're in
halfway.
4.4, exactly. So we've reduced that rate in that community since 1998 beyond 50%. And so we have a ways to go, but we are proud of the fact that we've made that progress in that headway. So.
Well, that's a great point for us to end and get ready to take a commercial break. You've gone from, your goal was to get to 100% and you're at 50%. And we do want to hear just a little bit more about that program and some of the other programs. So when we come back after the break, we will do just that. So to our radio listening audience, to our Facebook family, yeah, this is worth shouting out. So we're here with Let's Talk Business with SJC, and we're here with Lo Berry, President and CEO of the Reach Up, Inc., and we will be back after the break. Thank you so much for tuning in. Oh, it's amazing.
Hey, this is Tampa Bay Tammy. Don't forget to pick up your copy of In Touch News.
Touch News Radio.
This is Linda Archie with Taya Temple United Methodist Church. Join us every first and third Saturday of the month at the Village Market, East Tampa, 3206 North Sanchez Street. Free parking, free admission, fresh produce, live entertainment, vendor shopping, and delicious cooked food. Join us every first and third Saturday of the month, beginning June 22nd. For vendor information, call me 1-888-991-2502. See our ad ad in In Touch News or Florida Sentinel. Please call me at 1-888-991-2502. The Village Market at East Tampa, 3206 North Sanchez Street.
That was a quick break. And we are back. So welcome back to Let's Talk Business with SJC. Our special guest in the studio today, and also in the studio with me today, is DJ CEO. You know the month is August. We're celebrating National Black Business Month, and that is 31 ways in 31 days. Spend $31 with a Black-owned business your way, but you may spend it. You may donate it to a nonprofit. We're going to give you the name right now. Reach Up Inc. Whoop, whoop. And then DJ CEO, because we're shouting out nonprofits. You'll get to hear a little bit about his nonprofit. And as we move forward, wow, started out with, that was a nice grant. that was a grant. How many years was the grant, by the way?
Oh, we're in our 20th year.
Woo!
And
Big congratulations.
This past year, and we got funded for an additional 5 more years by Federal Healthy Start Services. And unfortunately, that budget was reduced by 51%. And one of the reasons that it was reduced, Cheryl, and we say is a blessing and not a blessing, was that we did so well in 2 of our zip codes. We were serving East Tampa 02, 03, 05, and 10.
And 10.
And then our clinical outcomes got so good in the Health and Human Services mindset, and we improved the outcomes in that area within 5-year period.
Oh my God!
Where
Congratulations!
It improved beyond the national rate, and so we were no longer in this new grant able to serve them. So we picked up some additional census tract, but no longer can serve 02 and 03. But we are still serving 5 and 10.
Good.
And we also serve 07. So we were able to, with this particular grant, wherein we were getting $8 million, is short now is $4 million for that particular, for that particular Federal Healthy Start grant.
But you've, like you say, a blessing. So you've got to be
It's a
excited about
blessing.
the work that you accomplished. When I was in corporate America, they would call that you worked your way out of a job.
Yes, that's
So
exactly
you've
what
done
some
so
say.
well.
Yeah,
You've done
the
so well.
only downside is that, and Dr. Olson and I talk about this all the time, because systems of care do this. When you start making strides and gains, unfortunately, that's what happens.
Yeah.
Then the resources move somewhere else. But then the issue should always be that of sustainability. And you can't really make those gains and strides and sustain the efforts without resources.
Correct.
So that's the good and the bad in it. So we are leveraging as much as we can outside of that Federal Healthy Start, funding stream. And we have some local opportunities that we're hoping and praying that we get to supplement some of that loss.
Okay. All right. So
I
other
stay
grants
tuned
out
on
there.
that.
Stay
Yes,
tuned.
stay tuned
Well,
on
you've
that.
got also you got a great medical research team, but then you've got
Yes.
also great medical research team that is able to go out and find those funders in order for you all to sustain yourselves and do the work that you want to do. Now, Lo, what would you say to? We've got, I think, 1, 2, 3, 4 nonprofits, DJ CEO, right here on the campus of 5508.
At a minimum 4. I'm
4.
thinking maybe 5.
Okay, 4 or 5, and they're relatively new. Now, you can tell us how old your nonprofit is.
Braxton Darrell Johnson Foundation has been around since 2014. It came on the heels of my son's death. He died in 2008, and so we started the Power Couples Ball in 2009, and with the ball we raised funds for his foundation. The Braxton Darrell Johnson Foundation created a program called the Last Mile Scholarship, and so the Last Mile Scholarship covers students in their last year or last semester of college anywhere in the country, but primarily in the state of Florida. So if you're going to a public school, not a private school, we can't pay private tuition, but we will pay for a public school just the tuition, and we're in hopes that will help students finish school. Tammy and I, we can remember with 4 children, finishing college just was not in our budget. So I finished at 35. I think she finished at 33. We finished, but it was a struggle. So with this program, we want to try and help specifically black young men finish school, because we believe that by financing educational initiatives and encouraging strong family units, we can provide. I'm reading from my mission statement. We can provide strategic support to foster the collective success of minority families.
Yes.
So by saving the black young man, we can help them to foster up our family units.
Awesome, because we need them, and we need to
them.
strengthen them and show that strength wherever we can. And so I mentioned your foundation, and as well, we have, like we said, about 4 that's right here on the campus. Some of them are a lot younger than 6 years, but yet you talk about having maintained a nonprofit that started, but still a nonprofit nonetheless, for a program for over 20 years.
Yes.
Oh, good Lord.
We have been really fortunate and blessed, and I never stop saying that, because I have piercing clarity about where we are. And we've been blessed because when we left the University of South Florida with that grant, we had about 12 employees. And within a 4-year period of time when we actually left, we had went from 2 programs total to 12.
Oh my goodness, that's
and,
a jump.
We
That's
now
fantastic.
have 50 employees.
Whoa.
We've been really, really fortunate, and that's why, I don't ever be remiss in saying I got the best management team this side of heaven, and I got wonderful staff who really do the day-to-day work and the really hard work being in the trenches. And so I think when you establish a strong foundation, as you alluded to earlier.
Okay, so strong foundation.
Yes, and you're very intentional and deliberate about staying in alignment with your vision and your mission. And Vanessa always say, don't have mission drift.
Oh,
wow.
Okay.
And don't chase the dollars. Don't be just the flavor of the month.
Awesome.
But just be intentional and be faithful to that call and to that vision. And I think that's a really key reason why we have been successful. And I rarely talk about dollars because people sort of misunderstand the dollars piece, but I think in this conversation is appropriate. Because I don't get all this money. The money goes back into the community and staff. But we have leveraged over $40 million the past 20 years.
That's fantastic.
That is wonderful.
Give her an applause.
Thank you. And let me tell you, as a nonprofit, well, I don't want to say owner, but in essence,
founder.
it's as founder. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's difficult to maintain. We've given out about $40,000 in scholarships.
Oh, that's kudos to you. That's a young organization.
We have to continue to do that. You know, so and that calls for grant writers and additional donations coming into your nonprofit, and that makes it extremely difficult. How do you manage funding and donors to come your way?
Through the grace of God. But in addition to that, the major grant writers in our organization is Dr. Deborah Austin and myself.
Wow.
So we really do about 80% of the grant writing. And then we have partnerships with, as I mentioned earlier, with the University of South Florida.
Okay.
So we partner with the university
Yes.
in some of our grant writing. Most recently, we really partner with the interns at the University of South
Awesome.
Big
Florida.
help, huh?
Yes, and that is definitely a way in which to leverage grant writing and grant funding. And we've established some really lifelong partnerships with those who have invested in us.
Okay.
And
Great.
because we're able to say to folk what the data says
Yes.
and what the people says,
Yes.
you know, being able to speak to your story in a quantitative and a qualitative fashion,
Right.
that really gets people interested in
In what you're
investing
doing.
in
Yeah,
you.
investing in
And
you.
I would say that's probably one of the main reasons we have these lifelong partnerships. So when we get a project and we basically say, here's the need, and we justify and affirm with the data the need,
Yes.
and then we back that up with the community at large wanting that to happen,
Uh-huh.
then it's a much easier sell to somebody whom you've gone to before, and they've had a very good return on their investment, and they're like, okay,
Yay.
I will, and we do that. So we have some funders that we've established relationship with, and on any given time we're getting 200,000, 300,000,
Wow.
and the like because of what I just
Yeah.
stated.
Absolutely.
So it continues to build on our mission, and it continues to be in alignment with those funders' missions.
Okay.
So it's a win-win situation.
That
Very
is
good.
awesome.
That is awesome.
Again, back to our conversation from Wednesday, we talked about establishing relationships.
Absolutely.
We talked about establishing, and one of the things I said, and I say to some of my clients, when they always want to do something or put on something or think that they have the best need that there is. And my thing is always, have you conducted a friendship relation with them? I always say friendship before you fundraise. Oh, we have a caller. Caller, thank you for calling in. It's Let's Talk Business with SJC. We're here with Lo Berry. Who are we speaking with?
I'm with Artesia Williams.
Hi, Artesia?
Artesia.
Artesia Williams. Well, thank you so much for calling in. Do you have a question for Lo Berry or something about nonprofits or?
I had a question. It's basically something to think about.
Okay.
Overall, I volunteer a lot. I've been 7 years of a volunteer is my next goal throughout the community. And I know that the number one thing that people talk about is a lack of budget.
Okay.
So I have at least 50 ways in which to promote and to get participation for free for actual nonprofits and businesses that function with little to no money. So does she know of any ways that she can make pretty much strive with little to no money? Because if not, I can assist.
Oh, wow. Well, Daryl said you can come.
You
Daryl
can help
is the
me out
CEO.
right here.
And you can
um,
have my personal cell number.
Oh my goodness! But so were you able to listen to the earlier part of the show when Lo Berry was talking about funding and the team that she's working with? Did you catch all of that as well?
I heard that she got a lot of people. There was an organization that works with vocational rehab where you can get people who are disabled to actually work with you for free. The state actually pays for your clientele, and all you have to do is give them a set schedule, and then the government pays for them to work for you, because that way they can get exposure, and for the business you get free labor.
Does it
So
matter?
things
Does it
like
matter the
that.
size of the business or what their income is?
Well, they said it's a case by case basis.
Okay.
So I don't know the exact details of the organization.
Well,
But, their contract
We'll have her on the show.
well, let me just say that I have a young man here who has come through vocational rehab, and
Okay.
he's working out quite well. We've been doing some training with him, teaching him some things, and he's been here now about 2.5 months.
Yeah, we enjoy
Esteban,
him too.
Awesome.
Yes,
He
he
does
let us
well.
call him Steve.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's a wonderful thing. So those are the kinds of programs that you talk about. I had the pleasure of going down to vocational rehab, which is a program sponsored through Crossroads, Tampa Crossroads.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
I didn't understand the magnitude of that program until I went and actually visited it. And I was like, wow, this is more than an ocean, and it's a big help to companies around the Bay Area that need help. It's an excellent opportunity to get some assistance.
Yeah. Well, in addition to these guys having you on their show, which I know Cheryl, she's probably going to be giving you a call for that.
No doubt.
But I definitely welcome an opportunity for us to have a further conversation. A big part of what we do, and I certainly don't have time to discuss it today, is promoting the educational piece as well as the workforce piece for the families that we serve. That is critical.
Awesome.
The poverty really, really impacts health outcomes.
Wow.
And so there's data to support that. So I definitely would like for us to have a further conversation and
we
move
will
from
do
there.
that.
Okay.
And
thank you so
That
much.
was awesome.
Yeah, Artesia, and thank you for calling in. So please make sure you reach out to me after the show, and we will certainly connect you with DJ CEO and our special guest, Lo Berry, because one of the things, I'm hearing music. Yeah. So we're going to go, perfect timing, Artesia. Again, thank you so much for calling into the show. We will be in touch with you. So make sure after the show you reach out to us so that we can set those appointments up. We'll be back after the break.
Right.
Thank you. You never know.
My name is Gil Sampson. I didn't come from a very rich family, and so paying for college would have been very tough. I don't know if I would have been able to go to the college that I went to, and then I don't know if I would have gotten into the career that I am in. So I think Bright Futures has done a lot to shape my life. Got a job as a structural engineer, and I design residential buildings, commercial buildings all over the United States. Because of Bright Futures, I was able to go to college. So many kids just don't even ever get that opportunity, and to be able to do it and not have any debt when I graduated is amazing, and it was all thanks to Bright Futures.
Florida has created more than 1 million jobs in only 5 years, and a great education connects our students to these exciting opportunities. That's why the Florida Lottery has funded Bright Futures scholarships to help over 725,000 students attend college. Because every play is for education. The Florida Lottery. Just imagine.
Hi, this is Dale Day. Join me every Monday at 7 p.m. for Jazz at Miss Connie's house, bringing you the smoothest jazz and the coolest guests right here on In Touch Radio.
Hi, this is Trina Johnson with Caldwell Banker Real Estate, the real estate agent you've been looking for. If you want top dollar for your home or you're looking to make a purchase, call me at 813-244-6953. Again, 813-244-6953, and let me list your home.
We are back. So welcome back to Let's Talk Business with SJC. We are here celebrating National Black Business Month. You've heard our special guest talk to us about the importance that racial and racism plays with our expecting mothers. And I remember attending a program, it's been years ago, and I remember it was called, and Lo, you can correct me, I want to say the unbirthed birthday party I went to.
Yes, because the black babies dying before their first birthday, and so what we would do, and we still do annually, celebrate with the families their movement since that time, but then acknowledge, to the community that we've lost these lives and these children that died before their first birthday. So we still do that, and we do that.
Have you heard of that before?
Every year.
No. And could you tell me what's the primary reason these kids are dying?
Yes. The number one reason is because of preterm births, and it's called prematurity. So babies being born too soon, too small. And so there are a number of factors, what they call risk factors, that contribute to that. Black women, we tend across the country to have poor birth outcomes regardless of our education and socioeconomic status.
Really?
So for Black women, even women who have a college degree, women who are not in poverty, women who are in intact marriages, still have babies to die twice more likely than white women who do not have a high school diploma.
Oh my goodness.
And who, live in an impoverished area. So one of the things that we've been saying for years, there's something going on other than what we know, and what comes to our brain at first is the person doing drugs, it's the person smoking, which are all negative factors. It's the person not eating properly and the like. And those are definite risk factors, but for Black women, it is most definitely stress.
Don't
But
get me
it
started
is-
on the conspiracy theory. Rachel.
No, it's not. It is cumulative stress for Black women. And the cumulative part is the racism.
Okay.
And the issue of racism and its impact and its influence physiologically on the body, on the DNA. Because there's a hormone called cortisol that we actually release when you're under stress.
Right.
Well, and I'm going to speak for myself.
Okay.
As a Black female, with all the stressors that I have day to day, being the president
And you
of
have
a
'em.
not-for-profit. I love my mom, but my sister and myself caring for a mom with dementia.
Wow.
I have a spouse who is a Vietnam vet,
Wow.
one supportive spouse, but he's
PTSD?
has some forms of the PTSD.
PTSD, yeah.
And I have a son, an African American son, who is in the community working as a school teacher. And out of all those things, the thing that bothers me the most or worry me the most, subconsciously, used to be, now it's conscious and subconscious, is what's going to happen to my son that he's not responsible for when he goes to work, when he goes to the grocery store, the stress. And so many times we don't think about it on a conscious level, but it's in our mind and in our set. So that cortisol gets secreted more than it needs to.
More than it needs to.
More than it needs to. And what happens is that cumulative effect of that cortisol, it starts impacting physiological and having cardiovascular problems and other issues. So there is a direct correlation for stress in the racism part. And my team and I, we talked about this 15 years ago with our research. And now it is very much the talk, the flavor of the month, to really emphasize the role that racism play in stress and how it actually affects birth and birth outcome.
Let me just give you a quick story of the cortisol. I'm picking up my wife from St. Petersburg Airport. This was about 3 weeks ago. I pick them up. She's 10 o'clock at night. There's no traffic out there. I passed her up, so she's back in my rearview mirror. She says, hey, I'm on the phone with her. I'm in my car. And so I put my car in reverse, so I'm backing up to go see her. I see the flashing lights of the police against the wall, but my head is turned backwards, so all I can see is a light. Then I hear the beep, 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 the sound. And so as an indication, I turn around and the police is trying to get me to stop. So I back. There's 3 lanes. I get over to the far right lane closest to the curb because I just pull over. The policeman comes up to my car with his hand on his gun.
Oh my goodness!
Screaming at me, literally screaming at me. Why did you refuse to stop? Why did you refuse my order? It was. I put both hands on the steering wheel. It was so intimidating that my heart was racing. I could hear Tammy screaming at the policeman. She was running. I could hear in the background. She's talking and she's screaming at the top of her lungs. But it was an unnecessary, provoked event. And so what I got from that is that these guys are just trained to provoke us, and they are looking for us to respond in a provocative manner so that they can use unnecessary force. And it is just a stressful situation to be in. I drove home after that
You were spent.
It just took a lot of energy out of me and my wife.
Of course.
Totally unnecessary.
And it took physiological energy
Yes,
as
it
well
did.
as emotional and mental.
Yes.
And that's what it is called. This conversation we have is called the weathering effect.
The weathering.
Weathering.
It's the weathering
Okay.
effect. And I encourage for the viewers and the listeners to really query the weathering effect because
Okay. We
it
Is it
really
YouTube?
is
Yep.
you can just Google
Yeah, you
it.
can Google it
It's-
anywhere.
You can get it
The
anywhere
weathering effect.
because it really does speak to the cumulative effect of stress
Okay.
on our bodies and what impacts that have on their health, but in particularly to African American women.
Well,
Okay.
there you go.
Yeah.
All right.
And now you got it on. You have it on both sides. And so, in talking about stress, and that's a conversation for another show. But you have quite a few programs. I would really love to hear more about when we were talking about the infant mortality rate, because that moved my young son so much that he went to the event with me and he said, "Oh my gosh, I need to volunteer. I want to volunteer. I want to learn more about that." And so what you are doing and what we're doing today is trying to make the community aware of what's going on and what your organization is doing. So let's take this opportunity to share some of your programs and or initiatives that you have going on. And then when we recap from that, we will talk about something that's coming up
Yes.
where the community can support and how the community can support, because remember we're asking the community to and we'll give those names out at the end of the show, starting with Reach Up Inc. So your programs, Lo.
Okay. So really, really briefly, and I feel a little bad because all our programs are great, and if I talk about one and not the other, somebody's feelings going to be hurt.
Okay. Well, just tell them what they are.
In regards to our, talking about what they do. So I don't have time to do that, but we do have 10 fantastic programs, all of which are programs that really wrap itself around that birth, the Central Hillsborough Healthy Start. First of all, making sure and ensuring that the babies get here safely. And we have doulas that do that work with the moms in the hospital, attachment and bonding. Then once they get here, to make sure that they live beyond that first birthday. So wrapping around some of our home visitation programs and services around them. And we have 3 home visitation programs, and this is all on the website. And
well,
also,
give them your website, because we want them to make sure that they learn all of them and they can see. Go to your website and learn everything that Reach Up is about and what they're doing in the community.
So you can go to www.reachupincorporated.org, and Reach Up Incorporated is spelled out, and it's all lowercase.
Well, the good news is we will tag that, and that information, this actual show that we're having today will be uploaded and posted back. We'll be able to go to In Touch News. They'll be able to go to our site, and we will tag you as well, because you have a Facebook page. Reach Up has a Facebook page, and your techno team will be able to disseminate this information out there.
So that you can see in detail the work that we do, the studies that we do around the work that we do, the data we produce, our publications and so forth in regards to our work. But I really wanted us to speak a little bit more about 2 of the programs. And we talked about Federal Healthy Start. So want to spend a other bit of time talking about the Male Involvement Network.
Okay, let's do it.
So common sense and enormous data really speak to the importance of meaningful male inclusion for achieving optimal health. And for some, it's just a no-brainer, but for system of care, some folk just don't get how important it is to create these meaningful engagements and involvement with men for good health for everybody.
Okay.
And so that is a component that we put a lot of energy into, and not even on a local basis, but on a national basis as well. And so I really quickly want to share with you, because most people know, the importance of male inclusion, but a lot do not know. And so we like to share some important facts with people when we try to engage them and get them to see the importance and relevance of this engagement. So I think most of us have heard about the father absence crisis in America, and most of us know how critically important it is to address this serious, what we call public health issue.
Absolutely.
Okay. But if a dad is absent in the home, the poverty risk is 4 times greater if the dad is not there. From behavioral perspective, it is more likely for the children to have behavioral problems if the dad isn't there. 2 times greater risk of infant mortality, which is the key piece for us. More likely to go into prison, and I think most of us know that. More likely to commit crime, and get this, 7 times more likely for the teen to be pregnant. 7 times more likely. Also more likely to face abuse and neglect. More likely to use drugs and alcohol. 2 times more likely to suffer obesity, which is also a risk factor for poor birth outcomes, obesity. 2 times more likely to drop out of high school. And we know what the implications behind high school dropout and not finishing school.
Yeah.
So absent fathers is a public health, in my opinion, in our opinion, it's an epidemic problem. And we really as a community need to mobilize and galvanize around that whole issue of fatherlessness. And then what we can do about it. And what can we do about it?
Yes.
So that male involvement network for us, we have several programs. We have what we call the 24/7 Dad program.
Okay.
And that one is funded by the Children's Board.
Okay. That's 24/7.
24/7 Dad program. And we also have the program that we work with funding from Allegheny Franciscan Ministries in regards to addressing men's health. And we have funding to help with case management for men, really trying to make sure that they have support systems in place and networks. We have programming in regards to mentoring, which is critical, intergenerational mentoring. So we have a number of programs at Reach Up that really foster this meaningful male inclusion piece so that we can co-opt other folk with the funding and ourselves about this engagement of these dads in addressing this issue.
We've got to have it. And I'm so sorry, Cheryl, but you know, listen, I've dealt with 3 or 4 African male men, and they what was the common thread in all of them was no father at home in the relationship, and mental health was an issue in that they had anger issues.
Young guys.
Yeah, we're talking young guys.
Okay.
We need these kinds of programs to help to promote the family structure, because and I need fathers, and I hope you're listening, fathers. I need fathers to tell their sons, I don't care where you are, you have to enforce the family structure on your son, because that is what he is going to become. He's going to become a man, and he has to know what men do.
Yeah. What it is to be a man.
What it is to be a man. And you don't just drop a seed somewhere and leave it and then not watch it grow and not to nourish it. And so that's what being a father is. You have to nourish your children, or they will grow up to be weeds.
Now, I hope you come into our Affirmative Fatherhood Conference.
Let me tell you this. It is the day before our ball. Our ball is September the 21st. I won't promise it, but I do strive to be there. I will strive to be there.
That would be great.
Well,
even
we
if
will
you can
definitely make an opportunity.
Absolutely.
That would be great.
Yeah,
and
I may not be able to do the whole thing, but I can make an appearance.
Okay, so
awesome.
Is this a segue into our talking about the conference?
Well, yeah, that's what I wanted to say,
break?
because we were talking about that, but I was to Daryl's question, as you're talking about mentoring these young men. some of the items that Lowberry just mentioned, the average father hasn't even considered. So these are facts.
Yes.
These are real facts that we have to share this information with our fathers.
Absolutely.
So somebody, and this is what Reach Up is doing right now. The average father, this information hasn't been shared with them.
Hasn't been shared. No.
I mean, I have two men myself.
As you were talking, I was like, okay, this is an excellent.
That's 2 sons.
Well, what you said, I'm going to cut that out.
Yeah.
Okay, and we're going to rebrand it out here on Facebook and all the other.
Is that the flyer low?
We're going to put it
Okay.
out there because it was great, good information, and we need to share it.
Yeah, and she's got evidence-based. Remember, she has a whole research team behind her. So the
Yes.
documentation is there. And she's quoting percentages to us that it is information that we have to disseminate out. All of us have that social responsibility
Absolutely.
of making sure that we're on the show, we're sharing this information. Then what?
Yeah.
Then what? We cannot sit here and hear you call out statistical data the way you have affecting our family, families who look like us, and raising 2 boys myself. And kudos out to our daughter who just sent her first son off to college, and we're so proud of him. Shout out to Mackay. Okay, Florida State.
Well, I'm so excited that you guys are taking this information personally.
Yes.
No doubt.
Because that's exactly what we like to see happen. Because when we take it personally, then we do move into action. And so the call that we have is to always be trying to work with a sense of urgency with everything that we do. And without a doubt, this is an urgent matter. So for those of you who are listening, you might be asking, how can you get involved?
That's what we want to know.
And one of the very first ways you can be involved, and I'm talking to everybody, but particularly men, our men, is to attend the Affirming Fatherhood Conference that we do have coming up very soon, which is next month, and it is September
the
20th. It's
20th.
September the 20th, and it's at the Children's Board of Hillsborough County, and
Right there in Ybor City.
Right in Ybor City, and it's going to be from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. We're going to have a continental breakfast, and lunch will be served. And the summit will include a history of fatherhood in the U.S. by Daniel Shedrick at Champions for Children right here in our community. We're going to have a panel discussion about fatherhood and what it's really like. And some of our panelists are going to be Russell Johnson, Enrique Lopez, Randy Swallows, and a lot of people have heard of Pastor Tommy, Urban D, they call him, Mikhail Manchin. So that's our panel.
That's quite the panelists.
And then we're going to have a Hall of Fame luncheon, and we're going to be featuring spoken word by Wally B. And a lot of people
our
know
own
Wally B.
Yes.
And Carlos Finesse. Then our keynote is going to be brought to us by Gary Waters. He's a character coach and retired from NCAA heads men basketball coach. So we have a fantastic lineup for folk, but that is a platform in which you can actually connect with and interface with people who are doing this work. But most importantly, what our Affirming Fatherhood does, and that's why we have Affirming Fatherhood as the title, is that we really want to recognize men who are getting it done and getting it done right. Because oftentimes, most times, we hear about who's messing up and how men are not getting it right. But we have a lot of men that are getting it right.
Kudos.
So we affirm that, and then we also have men there who want to get it right and do better so that we can get them connected to those who are doing it better. Everything that we do is backed up by data. So, of course, there's going to be the evaluation data piece for people to get the information about what resources and who best to connect with. So it is an annual event that we look forward to every year.
What year is this,
And
Lo?
this is, let me see. I
That
got to
you've been
think
putting
about
the conference
I
on?
think this is our 7th year?
7 year? Okay.
8th year? I'm
That's
going to
great.
have to think about which year it has come to me. So while we want you to take advantage of all our services when you go on the website and see what we do, we definitely want you to take a look at us also on by phone and also with Facebook and with Twitter.
So like your page on Facebook.
Yes.
And follow on Twitter.
Yes. And so we hope very much for you to come and bring someone alongside with you to the conference. So, you know what? I forgot to mention the cost.
I was about to say cost and registration, because we've been e-blasting it for you as well.
Yeah.
So is registration still open?
Yes, registration is still
okay. So
open,
while Lo is looking that information up, so you've heard her speak of Affirming Fatherhood Conference, and that's very, very important. She's saying that there is space, and ladies, talk to your men about it. Here's an opportunity. You want to give a gift? Here's a perfect gift to give your loved one when she comes back to us with the cost. And got it?
Got it.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
So the cost is, we're offering a group rate of $40 per person.
Wow.
For a group of 5 or more. So if you get a group of 5 or more, it's $40 per person. And individual registration is $50 on or before September the 1st. And after September the 1st is $65 from that part.
Okay, it's time to jump on by September 1.
And Dr. Austin told me also to remind folk that other organizations and nonprofits and whomever, if you want to become be in the souvenir program, and then you can be in black and white or in color. 1/4 page is $250. 1/2 page is $500, and a full page is $1,000 or more, depending on.
So that's another piece of your fundraising component. Okay,
exactly.
Did Dr. Austin tell us the deadline for that, or we can put that on? Or they can go to the website.
Yeah, go to the website. Okay. Yeah, I don't see the deadline.
So we want you to go to the website. We will tag all of this information that Lo Berry is talking to us about today, especially when she talks about the male inclusion. We are going to supply that information for you as well. We will. You heard her say there are seats available, so get a group, get the men in your family and treat them and cover the registration costs, because it's a great cost. We're going to come back and do final thoughts, but let me go ahead and shout the nonprofits out. And so we do want to shout out A Second Wish by Demetrius, 8 Brown Ministries, BWBOEE, that's Black Women Business Owners, Executives, and Entrepreneurs, one of my groups. CDC of Tampa, Children with a Vision. Hey, shout out to Tanya Lewis, the Coach Foundation, Computer Mentors, Divine Helping Hands, the ML King Parade Foundation, Gabby Cares, Positively You. Reach Up Inc., who we happen to have the president and CEO in our house today. There are ways that you can support her through volunteerism, through making donations, but more importantly, find the men in your life and get them signed up for Affirming Fatherhood Conference. We hear you, Dr. Austin. In addition to that, we've got the Tampa Organization of Black Affairs, the St. Petersburg Skills Center, STEM Exposure, a team that just came off of working with our young architect and designers. The Yes You Can, one of the foundations that's right here, Charity Place at 5508. Glam Girls for God. I think that's Melanie. That's Melanie's business, Melanie Blue. Shout out to you. So what we could be exchanged. Oh, that's Jeanette Bradley. Sisters Network, Jerry Ann, we hear you. Here's Braille Alliance of Black School Educators, the Tampa Black Heritage Festival, Broken Into Beautiful, love that one, and Men of Vision. So each day we're on the show, we try to shout out businesses that are related to the subject matter that we're discussing. Today was bringing awareness to nonprofits. And Lo, congratulations to the phenomenal nonprofit that you and your team are running. So we can see the evidence that exudes through your passion and your excitement for wanting to help others and making an impactful difference in our community. We do want you to give final thoughts as we wrap up and say goodbye.
Yes. Again, thanks for having me
here. You are welcome.
It's been a pleasure to be in the presence of kinship ties. Always a pleasure to be among kinship.
Awesome.
And what I like to say to the family and viewing audience is that I really do believe that Reach Up Inc. is a collective impact at its best. We have piercing clarity at Reach Up about we're being a blessed organization.
Yes, you are.
And we are. I'm so grateful to my Reach Up Board of Directors, my Reach Up Foundation, the awesome staff, the participants of the services that we provide, our funders and community stakeholders, all of which we could not have these outcomes and do without this love and support. And we know that by reacting and coalescing collectively, we really can change these health trajectories for families and for ourselves. We believe that, and we have witnessed that. And we look forward to our legacy being such that people say, you know what? I want to get connected to Reach Up, and we want to do and continue the works of Reach Up way past the time that I'm going to be at Reach Up. We really encourage other people to do this work, to stay in alignment with their mission and vision and not to have that mission drift. And we say to people all the time, don't hesitate to celebrate your successes, big, small, and different, but celebrate your successes individually and collectively with the people in your midst. And we say do that because we truly believe where there's a will, we are the way. Thank you.
Way. And we celebrate your success. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for joining SJC. Signing off.